This is Fireboy DML, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
All right. Feel blessed. Cold, but I'm fine.
Cold
I'm
but
alright.
blessed. Yeah.
New York's my favorite city. So like,
Your favorite city?
yeah, it's like the energy is always amazing. Reminds me of Lagos, Nigeria, like where I live and work. So like, I feel at home sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How similar is it? Is it similar within like the people, like how everybody's really moving fast pace? Or
Exactly. You know, everybody's trying to hustle, trying to get some money, trying to like. It's a city of dreamers.
It's your first time headlining a tour in the United States.
Anywhere, in fact.
Anywhere,
Yeah.
really? Wow. Oh my God.
So like, this means a lot to me, man.
And how do you feel about it?
I'm looking forward to it, but you know, I'm just really looking forward to having fun. The past few years of my life have been kind of planned, cautious, but I wanna like step out of my comfort zone and like experience new stuff.
Yeah.
So this year is more about me opening up myself to whatever life has got to offer. It's always different performing to a different audience entirely. This is my first time performing in the States, so I can't tell yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have Nigerian fans, African fans all over the world. So like, definitely I know that I'm going to see some Nigerian fans out there. But I'm more interested in the ones that have never seen me or heard me anywhere before. That's going to be a new experience.
Listening to your studio stuff, I bet a lot of people in the States are super excited to just see you.
Yes, I mean this
person.
is long overdue because I was supposed to tour in 2020. But that's when COVID really hit.
Yeah.
So it kind of like messed some few things up. But now this is even better because I am going with the strength of 2 amazing albums and 1 incredibly huge smash hit. So
How did you get over that hump? You said you kind of were more interested in just being a studio artist and never really doing performances or anything or getting out there, I guess. How did you kind of build the confidence to do shows and get out there and perform?
With each show I played, the confidence grew. And I remember the first time I performed, I was really nervous, man. Like, I mean, to this day I still get nervous, but now once I get on that stage and the nerves disappear. But I remember the first show I played, it was amazing, but I was nervous before I got on stage. And when I saw the response to songs that I never even thought that they would vibe along to, I'm like, oh, so it made me realize that people actually just want to see you. They want to see you in person, singing the songs that they've been listening to for a long time. It made me realize that when people listen to my music, they imagine a lot of stuff.
And how do you choose your set lists for each concert, given that you said you wanted to kind of do something different every time you perform? Do you want to have a different set list, or do you want to approach the feeling, like the emotions, with a different vibe for each song, or how do you change it each time?
Well, back home, before I perform at any show, I always like to do my research. What kind of audience am I performing to? What's the age group? You don't want to perform Tattoo. Tattoo is very explicit, not exactly explicit, but it's a sex song. You don't want to perform Tattoo to a bunch of 12-year-olds. So like, I do my research and stuff.
How did you get together with Ed Sheeran on Peru?
Got a call from my team. They told me that they've been working on it for a week. Apparently, someone from the team sent the song to Ed Sheeran's camp, and he heard it, loved it, and recorded his verse. And they called me and told me Ed Sheeran has recorded a verse for your song. I'm like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, this is the remix that I would love to put out because apart from the fact that he's a respected act, I'm actually a fan. I've been a fan of his music for a long time. He actually made me fall in love with the acoustic guitar. And you could hear that influence in a lot of my songs. So I checked my DMs and I saw that he sent me some messages, told me how much he loved the song, sent me a snippet of his verse. When I heard it, I was like, not only did you jump on it, you hit it up. Wow, that's nice. Cool. This even makes it worth it. So like,
that's so human too, to talk to you directly instead of sending it through your PR, anybody like that.
He's that kind of person. He's very down to earth, very natural, very real.
That's awesome.
So a few days after that, we linked up in New York to shoot the video. Meeting him in person was even more special, because it was very natural. I was worried that, what's it gonna be like? Is it gonna be awkward?
Is he gonna be mean or something?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
You
you never know. So it was very natural. So we took that same energy straight to the set, you know, and it was amazing. It was amazing. The whole set was, you could see that it was real love, real natural connection.
The last time you spoke with us was in December of 2021, and I believe you talked with one of our interviewers about specifically that song and how you met Ed Sheeran and the whole thing that went with that. And I think something that you said in that interview really jumped out to me. You said something along the lines of if the vibe isn't right, you don't work with the person, no matter how famous they are, no matter how good they are.
Yeah.
Have you ever been presented with anybody else that wanted to feature on your music that you don't have to name names or anything, that you were like, maybe not?
Oh yeah, of course. Like when Peru was going global, like I said, the original was already doing the business, so I was getting like different calls from my team. Oh, this person wants to be on the song. I'm like, you know, like I was getting like, of course. So they were like, "What's going on?" You know. So when the Ed Sheeran opportunity came, I was like, "Now this is it. This is the one that we've been waiting for." Like I was old enough, but I didn't know exactly what I was old enough for. But I knew what I wanted. So when he came, I was like, "Yeah, this is the one." You know, so yeah, I mean, it happens that way. You know, if there's no sonic connection, I don't think it's gonna work out. You know, and you could tell that this one was meant to be, because you know you could see the way he promotes the song, like it's is.
Right.
You know, even though I mean we co-own the song now, it's got
sure.
Like so, like it's always right when the collaboration is like meant to be, when it's organic.
How did you write that one, and did it differ from how you wrote all your other stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I didn't really write it per se. It was a drunken 40-minute freestyle, man. Like I was in the zone.
Hey,
like,
that's a way to write. That's
you
a
know,
way to
like,
write, you know?
Yeah. So like it was my first time. Yeah, that was my first time in the United States.
Yeah.
I was excited about everything. Everything was exciting me. You know, like, oh wow. You know, like, so we had just flew in from Miami. Like I said in the song. Yeah. And we're in San Francisco to meet up with the team, the Empire team, and in San Francisco. So we went to the Empire Studios. I met with Sheezy. Yeah. It was supposed to be a courtesy visit, you know, just in and out, so I could go back to my room to sleep and get some rest. Yeah. But then he started playing some beats. You know, I had some, you know, alcohol. I was already in the mood. He played the beat. When I heard the beat, I was like, what? Get me in the booth, you know, and, you know, 35, 40 minutes, I was just, you know, saying my story, you know, about how I just flew in from Miami. They've been looking for me because, you know, I dropped my album in 2020, and then I didn't, like, drop anything else since then. So I was like, they've been looking for me. They've been asking what's going on. And that's what One You Won't Want Me means. One You Won't Want Me, One You Won't Want Me. I'm in San Francisco. So one of them, like, they've been looking for me. They said they've been looking for me. I'm in San Francisco having the time of my life. You know, that's what it means. So, like, 45 minutes, we knew that we had the jam on our hands, because every single person in the studio came into that particular studio to, like, just listen to it and vibe. Just jam out. The day after, when I was going to record another song too, they're like, okay, before we get to it, let's play Peru one more time. You know, like, that's how I knew that, we had the jam. Afrobeat is always known for, I mean, I knew my people would love it, because it is very catchy, straight to the point, amazing beat. But I didn't know it was going to get, you know, this global attention it's getting. I'm just really glad it worked out.
You talked about this idea of Afrobeats, right? And I feel like there are so many different sections of Afrobeats, and I feel like it's usually an umbrella term to describe a lot of different things. Like, it could be like Afro pop, you know, a lot of different areas that it could live in. How would you describe your music in that, and would you kind of put it in any of those boxes?
Yeah, so essentially I'm an Afrobeats artist. Afrobeats artist because my influences, you know, and my roots, where I'm from, you know, what I grew up listening to, where I live, where I work, you know, what I eat. It's more of the culture for me. But most of the time, my music is basically an African young boy just making music. You know, there are no rules, there are no, you know, but it's Afrobeat still, because you can hear the lingua, the diction, the choice of words, the lamba, as I like to call it. There's something we call lamba in Afrobeat. It means catchy words. You know, you can hear the lamba that's how you know that, okay, this is an Afrobeat act doing this. So even if I'm singing R&B, if I'm doing reggae, whatever it is I'm doing, you can always hear that essence.
I think, and also another point of it is your lyrics and how you're able to kind of put your lyrics over it. It's a bit unique. It's a bit different than really anything else I've ever heard, especially from like Afropop, Afrobeats even.
I'm glad you see it that way, because when I started setting out, I started making music in 2012, but I didn't find my sound until 2017.
5 years.
Yeah, it took me 5 years to find my sound. I was just doing the regular whatever. in between. 2017, I found my sound, and I told myself, yes, I found it. I'm going to use my knowledge of words, to like penetrate into this Afrobeat thing. I realized that Afrobeat was known for rhythm, vibe, like melodies and all that, but if you could just be intentional with your lyrics a bit, I think you can make it mark, like stand out.
What was the first song that you can attribute to that sound that you started, maybe in 2017, 2018, or the first song that you think like, this is where I should be, this is what I should be doing, this is the sound for me? The
song is titled Star. I think I recorded it in 2017. Early 2017 was when I made that song. And most of this, a couple of songs that are in my debut album were written around that period too. So I played them for Olamide and like, where were you when you recorded the song? I'm like, wow, this is making the album. Yes, I love it. So the song is titled Star, and it's actually a prophecy. Prophesying all this that's happening right now. So it's really special song.
It is interesting that you mentioned that a lot of people, especially in Afrobeats, release EPs, right? Release singles. What at the end of it made you want to do a whole album? Because I feel like I can describe a lot of different, artists as an album artist or a single artist or a playlist artist even nowadays. And I very much think you are an album artist because, you had two very, very good, very, very complete sounding albums. What makes you so akin to making albums as opposed to EPs?
I think it's the process. For an EP, I don't know. No disrespect, I don't know what it feels like to make an EP, but I feel like you could just string 4 or 5 songs that you recorded sometime and just put them together and be like, oh, I have an EP. But an album, it's a process. It's a very humbling process, and it represents a different era in an artist's life. For me, I reinvent myself almost every year, So when I do that, I be like, I think it's time for an album. I think it's time to let these people know who I am now. But this third album is different entirely. Like it's bad boy season, coming out of my shell, experiencing whatever it is there is to experience, stuff like that. And you could hear that from the first single, Peru. Like that's what the album represents. If you miss the introspective, expressive me, go back to the last album. Like that's the mood I'm in right now. Like I'm about
That's right.
I'm about it's only right to just like build up on that momentum and it's blow it up worldwide.
Like
yeah.
Do something different every album.
Exactly.
I like that because right. If you want the old you have the old you, right? You got
there.
that music.
It's not going anywhere. So it's simple as that.